This video is brought to you with thanks from NoGuff88. Thalisse Reverent Medium versus another new one, Abomination of Llanowar. And that is a pretty decent hand. We've got some card draw, some things to do with our early game, so yeah, we'll keep that one. Just start things off with a tapped Godless Shrine. And our opponent already accelerating past us, a turn 1 Soul Ring into Lightning Greaves. We'll drop down the Scrubland and just go for the Zulaport Cutthroat. Oh wow, and a Skull Clamp as well. No green mana, fortunately for us. So let's just go for Polluted Delta. We'll crack that for a Swamp. And I think we'll go Read the Bones here, just to look at more cards. Read the Bones is Scry 2, Draw 2, Lose 2. So we'll bottom the Bastion, I think. Does that really help us? We might not get into another land, so let's go Arcane Signet. We can always go Arcane Signet into Ophiomancer next turn. Maybe we just go Smothering Tithe though, now that we've drawn into that. Anyway, let's swing at our opponent with the Zulaport. And there's that green mana they needed, so going for Overgrowth so that they can tap down the Nykthos for some green mana. They can get down their commander here. But instead, going for Numa and putting a Skull Clamp on that, then going for the Lightning Greaves. They need to put the Skull Clamp on before Greaves, otherwise they won't be able to equip anything thanks to Shroud. I think it might be a good idea for us to get the Tithe down if they're going to start drawing a bunch of cards with Skull Clamp. So we'll drop that Plains and go straight in for Smothering Tithe. Our opponent pays for Tithe here. They've got 3 cards in hand, so I assume they just know what they want to do here. It's a Nissa Ravane. Don't often see that in Commander, especially 1v1 Commander, but they tutor for the Nissa's Chosen. They can only have one of those in the deck. And then emptying their hand, get Llanowar Waste and a Mana Dork down. Then swinging in at us with a 3-1. We'll just take that. We don't want them to draw cards while they've got 0 cards in hand. If they draw the odd card and give us some tokens with Smothering Tithe, that's fine, but I'm not looking to feed them cards with the Skull Clamp. Got Eternal Ketra now, so I think it would be a good idea to get our commander down, and then we can look at maybe going Sengir Autocrat next turn, and we might get some spirits here from Thalisse. If we get some treasures with the Smothering Tithe, they might be tempted to clamp their Arbor Elf this turn. They can have a look at the card that they draw each turn before they decide to tithe, and they do decide to pay for it again. Now it's Abomination of Llanowar. 1 card left in hand, and that is a 4-4 with Vigilance and Menace, and Haste and Shroud. Then untapping one of their lands with the Arbor Elf, and it looks as though they are deciding to distribute a +1 counter amongst elves they control, because they put 2 mana into their Numa, so putting 1 onto her. And we'll just be hit for 4 here by the looks of it. We'll start blocking eventually, but I think we just have to take a hit here. Plus in with the Nissa, taking them up to 35, and we get into a Skull Clamp of our own, which goes very nicely with Ophiomancer. So I think that means we go for Ophiomancer, and we'll get down the Signet here as well, and hopefully the Death Touching Snake will make it more difficult for them to swing in. Let's just get down the Clamp as well, because they're in top deck mode pretty much, so I'm hoping that they can't get removal for the Clamp. That'll save us some mana next turn. During our opponent's upkeep, we get a Death Touching Snake, and this time giving us a treasure token, so if we keep our commander in play, we'll get a spirit at the end of the turn. Get a couple of spirits actually, thanks to the snake. There we are, Shamanic Revelation deciding to just go all out on us here. I doubt they'll pay for all those Smothering Tithe triggers. So we're going to get some spirits here. Our opponent makes a bunch of Elvish Warriors off of the Elvish Promenade. And yeah, that makes an elf token for each elf you control. Then they Skull Clamped one of them, I think. These tokens might be relevant because we do have Hour of Reckoning in hand. Destroys all non-token creatures. And then Nissa, I think, gained a bunch of life there. I think I saw her tick up. Still clamping those tokens. And there's Jiraga Warcaller. That encourages me to probably block this turn. Yeah, we'll see how they attack. Alright, they don't attack, so maybe setting up an alpha swing. We'll get some spirits, 10 spirits into play there. And we're able to drop a high market. So let's swing in first of all. Go in our opponent with the snake. 5 of these can fly straight in at Nissa. And the others can go in at our opponent. So Nissa goes down, our opponent goes down to 36. I'm thinking we can hopefully recast Thalisse this turn. If we go for that board wipe. So let's put a clamp on our commander. I'm thinking they're setting up an alpha strike here. So I do think that we need to wipe the board. Let's go Hour of Reckoning. Tapping down our creatures to do that, to save some mana. Yeah, and that just leaves them with some elf warriors. We get to drain them a little bit as well as draw some cards with the clamp. And we just get into some more lands. We've already played one for the turn. And we're one away from getting down both Oketra and Thalisse, unfortunately. So we'll just go for our commander and the Sengir Autocrat, I think. Although maybe it's a good idea to... yeah, maybe it's a good idea to just skull clamp while we can. Yeah, let's just clamp a spirit here. Alright, that gets us into Mana Crypt. So that means that we can go for Sengir Autocrat and clamp another token, so I think that's okay to do here. Yeah, there's a Lightning Greaves as well, so let's just go for the Sengir Autocrat, because I do want to make some spirits this turn. There's no guarantee that our opponent is going to give us any tokens next turn. So we'll just make some of our own here. And then at the end of the turn we get some spirits thanks to the serfs that came down. There we are, a Rogue's Passage from our opponent, so very glad that we wiped the board last turn. They can still hit us with their commander, but they probably would have got commander damage off on us if we hadn't gone for the board wipe there. Making sure that this can't be blocked with the Rogue's Passage, and then putting the Lightning Greaves on there. We'll probably drop the Elspeth and wipe that off the board next turn. So hopefully they can't cast this again. It'll be 7 mana, and then they'll need another 4 with the Rogue's Passage, which is obviously 11, so I don't think they can get that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They'll need 3 more, so I doubt it. 12 commander damage and 11 life. Not getting anywhere near as many treasures this time, and then there's always the risk of getting bolted here as well. But we don't, thankfully. Alright, Cabal Coffers. We've got 3 swamps, is not great. We'll just drop another one here. Go for Elspeth, Sun's Champion. And we will -3 on her. That gets rid of the commander. Then we will swing in with everything. And if they want to double block this Sengir Autocrat to get rid of the serf tokens, I'm fine with that. So yeah, we'll just swing in with everything, like I said, because we really want to be trying to outrace our opponent here. Alright, and maybe they've just got nothing else in hand. I mean, they've got 6 cards in hand, but maybe their one strategy was to get their commander down again. Rogue's Passage, hit us for commander damage. Yeah, so maybe it's just a bunch of lands in hand or something. But that was a pretty good showing for us with Thalisse. So I hope you all enjoyed it. I think that was a pretty quick one, so we'll get another one in now. This time up against Kess, Dissident Mage. Probably a spiky Kess deck, we'll see. Oh good, and no black mana there either. We're on the draw. Are we going to get into black mana? Probably not, so let's mulligan. Yeah, and that's better, so we'll keep that. And we'll get rid of Eleshnorn. Just a Volcanic Island for our opponent. We'll get down Caves of Koilos. Then a Reflecting Pool as well, so I would imagine they're just holding on to counter magic. Let's see if this gets any out of their hand. Yep, going for a Force Spike, so it is your typical spiky Kess deck. Then a Null Rod. And a Thoughtseize. They take the Felidar Retreat. I thought they would have gone for the Anguished Unmaking there. We draw into Woestrider. We'll just play that. It tells our opponent what we drew into, but I think we're going to make use of the scry here. Then our opponent holding up 4 mana, not going for their commander. We'll scry with Woestrider. And I bet we can get them to counter Anointed Procession, so we'll put that on top. Then go for the Vista and the Procession. And alright, a Fact or Fiction down to 2 cards in hand. They know both the cards in our hand. It's Bedevil and Preordain. I think this is a tempting pile here. But no, going for the Hymn to Torak and the Gitaxian Probe. Let's go Woestrider. And we're encouraging them to go for the Hymn to Torak this turn because I dare say they don't want us to go raise the alarm. Or Anguished Unmaking. So looking at our hand first to draw a card. Then it's a land into him. And just holding up 1 blue mana. Let's swing in straight away and we'll just cast the Blood Artist. Going for Lightning Bolt on Woestrider. And there we go, that looks like Kess with Counter Magic back up to me. And then going for Preordain out of the graveyard, scry 2 and draw. So maybe not holding up Counter Magic. Okay, there is a Plains. They've got... Can they do it on our turn? It's during each of your turns, alright, so... they don't have Force Spike, we know that. This might be Swan Song or Spell Pierce, something like that. I think we can go for the Woestrider. Obviously I'd like to go Woestrider with our commander in play, but we play our commander and it just gets bedeviled, so yeah, we'll do this. Escaping the Woestrider, we'll bring it in with a couple of plus counters and a couple of goat tokens. Yep, there we go, bedevil onto that. I think we can scry with some goats. Obviously going 2-point Blood Artist at our only opponent. And that is a Demonic Tutor. I think we leave that on top. Probably go for Necropotence with that. Although we probably can't go for Necropotence, can we? Because Hymn to Torak, if we tutor and then just pass the turn, they probably go him. Yeah, let's leave it on top anyway. Swinging at us for 3 in the air. And there is the Demonic Tutor, so we'll go in for that straight away, see if they can counter it. Well, not countering it, maybe they're going to try and counter whatever it is that we tutor for here. Maybe we just go Lingering Souls here. I know it's not the flashiest tutor in the world, but we get 4... Yeah, it is 4 tokens from each one of those, so yeah, I think that's the best we can do here, to be honest. We've got Skull Clamp switched off with Null Rod, so go for that, see if they want to counter that one. Yep, going for Is It Charm. We'll swing in with both creatures. Going for the Fact or Fiction again during their turn. They can have Spell Pierce and a Braid. And yeah, they choose Spell Pierce and a Braid. Drop a land after that. Okay, so it is... Yeah, they've got 2 blue held up still. Let's go Cruel Celebrant first of all. Going for a Braid on the Blood Artist before that comes in. Then we'll go for the Lingering Souls. And countering that one with the Spell Pierce, so getting both of those cards out of their hand. Then swinging for a massive 0 points of damage again. Hitting us for 3 with the Kess takes us up to 9 points of commander damage. Exiling some stuff with Delve for a dig through time. That'll put them up to 4 cards in hand. And it's Chandra, Torch of Defiance. Going for the plus on that immediately, which reveals a mental misstep. Then Lightning Bolt, the Cruel Celebrant, and it's just a land for us. Let's go for Flooded Strand, go for the Woestrider, and Woestrider hitting the field again with 2 plus counters, and a couple of goats. Get the Godless Shrine into play tapped off of the fetch, and pass the turn again. Exiling the top card of the library, Inquisition of Kozilek won't do them much good with an empty hand. Still going in with the Kess though. And that's why, because there is a Subterranean Tremors where X is 8, so they'll end up with an 8/8 Lizard token. Let's sacrifice the goats in response to that. Isolated Chapel can go on the bottom. Bitter Blossom is way too slow. And Arid Mesa can go on the bottom as well, so we are trying to top deck something here. Taking out their own Null Rod at least, but I don't think any artifacts are going to do as much good here. Going for that Ponder out of the bin. Intangible Virtue, that is not going to do anything for us. Let's just go for our commander. And immediately going for the minus with the Chandra to get rid of our Thalisse. So hopefully they can win here. Ashiok will get rid of the Woe Strider. And they mill with that. A Polluted Delta, Search for Azcanta, and a Crucible of Worlds. Getting into a Sol Ring, 1 card in hand. Then Gitaxian Probe, wanting to know what card it is that we've got. Probably playing around a Condemn there. Necropotence, too late for that, but we will try and get that down. But they've got a counter for that as well. Yep, that's a remand. So we'll just play the Intangible Virtue and concede the game there, I think. So obviously this deck is much more casual than a 1v1 Kess deck, which tends to be very spiky, like I said at the beginning of the game. But I know a lot of people like this spiky style of Kess deck, so I think I'll upload this one to show it to all of you. Be sure to leave it a like, comment and subscribe if you did enjoy it. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.